Nikyle Fitzgerald. You were nominated for Rising Phoenix Award by David Bush. Thank you so much for accepting and agreeing to share your story, man.
No, the pleasure is mine. I've heard a lot of great things about the award and about you and your team as well. So it's a humbling opportunity.
Everything I know about you says you deserved it. We usually start this. There's kind of three things we'll explore. Most of us have been through some challenging things. If you get recognized for this, you've been through some stuff, and share as much or as little as you want. But I would like to understand a little bit more about some of the things that you've been through along the way. Do you mind talking to that a little bit?
Sure. So a couple of things kind of sparked my interest in community work. But initially, some of the major influences, at least early on, was when I think about it, my mother was an emancipated minor, and for those who don't know, who aren't familiar with that term, it means an individual who actually is falling on hard times with family situation. They've actually gone to the state to plead for their their right to have their own legal custody, to be an
Mm-hmm.
adult, basically. And so she had me at 16. My father was 16 as well, and I was the oldest, and I've always had a sense of responsibility for other individuals, even if I haven't always been able to carry that out. And as I've gotten older, I've been able to align myself with individuals who, by grace, have seen some things in me and allowed me to um, be guided through both their influence as well as a higher power. So I've had incredible individuals in my life, including David Bush, who nominated me for this particular award. Who So lots of family and great individuals who show me what to do. So it wasn't always easy growing up, but what that instilled in me was an opportunity to see the importance of having the right people and the right exposures in my life. So a lot of good men in my life who've helped me out as well. So a lot of good
Mm.
men and women.
Yeah, it sounds like you came from a challenging bringing up. You brought up in
Character
Toledo,
building,
right?
character building. Yes, sir. I moved around Toledo a lot, and then my father was in the Navy as well. So when I went to stay with him for a short period of time, he was in the Navy, and so I had the opportunity to stay with him in Virginia, and then came back here. So um, went to a litany of different schools. I think something like 14 or 15 different schools
Wow.
throughout life.
Wow.
So we had a lot of fun. It, they call them hardships, but it had gave me the opportunity to really get some insight into who I was as an individual,
Hmm.
and to really dig deep through those situations, which they may potentially even be hardships, but um, going through those things showed me what I'm capable of as a person. So I'm grateful for every experience that I've ever had, even the
Hmm.
really, really hard ones. I'm still grateful for them. So
Yeah. It sounds to me like you've been blessed with some good men in your life. I mean, it's so important to have good mentors and role models, especially as young men coming up in challenging places. Can you say a little bit about how that affected you?
yeah, my first mentor was probably my grandfather. He was a firefighter, superhero, right?
Hmm.
Amazing
Hmm.
individual. Really showed me what character was, and still a huge impact to my life today. And then, of course, I've had a litany of different ones, but of course, David Bush is a good friend and a friend to mentor type of situation.
Yeah.
We talk all the time. He's an amazing human being, and really shows. I've seen him through hard times. I've seen him through a lot of different things, and um, he is truly an individual of character and caliber. And he's done a fantastic job with uh, being the founder of Mad Poets, and not just the founder of Mad Poets, really setting the tone and the standard for what a youth organization should be. And I know it hasn't always been easy, but I've been working with David. Actually, I was a youth in David's program. That's
Hmm.
how far we go back, right?
Yeah.
So I met him at 15 or 16 years old. And I remember walking into a library, and this guy, he had this huge smile on his face, right? And really truly cared about what he did because of who he is and his background as well. So um, at some point, you just get frustrated with looking around at your surroundings, and you know that a change needs to be made. If no one else is going to do it, you're going to do it. And so I can tell I had that, and he also had that. So we've been working ever since, and he's a incredible individual. So.
He is. I agree. So, son, as you grow up, right? You get the guidance from your grandfather, you get guidance from David Bush, and probably a few others along the way. And that helps you
Oh yeah,
become the man
absolutely,
you want to be, right? So what
absolutely.
it sounds like you then took those growth opportunities and those challenges and those experiences and turned it around and started doing stuff for other people with that. What kind of stuff did you get involved in?
So uh, as a youth and even in high school, at 16, 17 years old, I was always looked upon for leadership roles and presidents and this and that. And then when I became an adult, I really wanted to focus on, it wasn't even community. I really just wanted to make good money, right?
Yeah,
And so that was kind of, I think a lot of young men, it was, I just wanted to be able to make good money, right?
yeah, yeah,
And so I'm not saying that isn't money isn't on the list, but it's not the highest priority anymore. Once you look around and you start seeing individuals who truly need your help, and I remember going to a program, and it was a community program, and people were just complaining. I must have been about 21. People were just complaining so much about the youth, right? The youth this and the youth that. Um, the youth this and the youth that. And as they were complaining, I'm sitting there thinking, well, what are you guys doing about it? Right? Like who is willing to step up, and because these these are our babies, right? This is first off, I just got out of that, or maybe I'm still into it. But the point is we have to be the ones to step up and be the catalyst for success for our community, not just out of poverty, not just a means of being okay. But if you want success, we have to be the catalyst for that. And so um, from then on, I've been involved in youth programming for uh, almost the last 11, 12 years now. So started off with Mad Poets as a youth leader. Then I branched off and started running my own programming through various programs. And now I'm a director of operations for Mad Poets. And it's something that, we take humbly, and we're honored to be able to do so. We take great pride and joy in it, but I also take it very seriously as well. And I know the importance of the impact.
indeed. Indeed, I've spoken with person after person who's talked about the impact of the Mad Poet Society. I get it. I get it.
We got some amazing youth, man. They very talented. And one thing I love about Mad is it's truly a family, right? So you walk through those doors, and uh, Mad is the place you go to have someone who is willing to listen to you, to uh, potentially give back. It's that all-encompassing aspect of family that we look for, and our staff and our students are very tight knit. So,
Yeah, yeah.
and everyone's welcome.
I know, man. Well, yeah, I'm on the board of directors for the Mad Poet Society, but for the people who are listening to
You
this who
are
don't know what it is, hey, just quick
sure.
elevator pitch. What's the Mad Poet Society?
Sure. Mad Poets Society stands for Making a Direct Difference, founded by David Bush in 1999. 1999, I believe. So it's almost uh, officially 1999, maybe a little bit older than that. But it's a literary arts program geared to stimulate growth through the arts. So we do poetry, we do drumming, we do spoken word, and then actually this year now we have a food program for the youth. We have a litany of amazing activities throughout the year, including a full summer program where kids can come and get a warm, healthy meal. and have some fun at one of the local parks throughout the summer. And then the food program, we actually help the kids, help the youth make the meals, and then we send them home with the ingredients for them and their families, right?
Mm,
So it's one of those programs where you can come and express yourself through multiple different means, including performances throughout the year. But you can also come in and get a warm meal and feel cared for as well. And the great thing about that, in addition to that, is currently all of our staff are former youth, right? So they understand the importance of it and the magnitude of the difference that we're making. So we're all lock in step. We're a family that's lock in step.
hmm. That's a beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, David set a good tone.
Yeah.
Mr. Bush set a good tone. So
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a supporter. You did some other things after between when you were a youth and when you joined kind of the leadership team. Talked about a couple of your own programs. Is there anything that you did that you feel particularly proud about?
so I do run my own business as well. It's called Golden Tree Marketing. I used to work for NBC and Cumulus as well as Sinclair. And so what was really cool is I get to help other nonprofits and other businesses kind of get the word out and spread the word about what they do. I'm a graphic designer and marketing analyst by trade as well. But I also was a director, a site director for the Youth Opportunities Program. And we did so much for multiple different years, from hosting our own fashion shows to college tours to you name it, we did it. And those youth are still an important aspect of my life to this day. They call me all the time. So
That's amazing, man.
we still, yeah. So it's we keep that family feel. And I always tell them that I'm your mentor for life. If you need anything, if I can help out in any way, then I definitely will. So
Mm,
yeah, they're
mm.
still an important part of my life.
I am such a believer, man. We'll get into some of the stuff I do later, but I'm such a believer. 'Cause I think as adults, right? We can influence the world as adults. We can make differences. But if you want to change the
Absolutely,
world, you got to change it through the youth, and that's where the power is.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
All right.
Yeah,
If so you're talking to let's say there's a 15-year-old boy listening to this, right? And he's kind of trying to pick his path
sure.
forward. Maybe he needs a little direction. Maybe it's 15-year-old Nikyle, right? If you could go back in time
Yeah.
and have a quick conversation with that boy, what would you want to tell him?
Um, I think the best way to kind of figure out who you are as a person is being of service,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if you, as long as you're not literally on the streets, and if we're on the streets, and that's a different conversation, we can talk about resources. But if you got a warm meal and a roof over your head, I think one of the greatest ways to be able to figure out who you are is giving back, volunteering somewhere, right? Um, I think that what that really shows you is who you are as a person. It shows you other individuals who may come from different backgrounds, who some of them may be in need. And it builds a sense of understanding of the world as well as who you are as an individual, as a person. So if I would give them any advice, I would say go out and help someone else. And throughout that process, I could tell you go get a job or to go to school, and there's tons of other stuff you could do. Sure, you probably should be able to do all those things. We'll help you with those things, but giving back fundamentally, it builds who you are as a person. So that would be the advice that I would give to them is find somewhere and volunteer, whether it's a soup kitchen, whether it's a homeless shelter, whether it's really just it could even be your grandma house, helping her out around the house and listen to some of the stories that she may have, right?
Mm-hmm.
Figure out a place where people are in need and give and and don't be afraid to give to those of the elderly population as well as the young people because they have an amazing history that um, deserves an opportunity to be heard
Mm,
as well.
love that. Love that.
Yeah.
Nikyle, I appreciate that perspective. Tell you what, I'm going to ask you a question I've never asked anybody in these interviews before, right? 'Cause I've done like
Sure.
150 of these interviews over the years. And I always kind of feel
Sure.
my way through it, right? You go with the flow of the conversation. So this next question I'm going to ask you is for you only. And it's not when
Okay.
we do this recording, it's going to get cut out, so it's not going to get shared with anybody else. But this is for you.
Okay.
So you think back about the path you've been on in your 32, 33 years. Think
Hmm.
about some of the hard things you've been through. Thinks about, is there anything in your past that you would want to go back and look at again and say, you know what, that wasn't my best, and I want to forgive myself for that. You got anything you want to share there? Because it's for you, and or path.
Asking for forgiveness.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh, everything. Right. I am extremely hard on myself. Right. It's to the point where, I don't, if you give me criticism, I probably already beat myself up over it like 15 times.
Yeah. Been
Right.
there. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and so especially when it comes to the point of you're dealing with, you have people's lives in your hands, right? And you have people's futures in your hands. And I'm not saying I've done anything crazy or wild or outlandish, but you go back and think, man, well, maybe if I would have gave them this resource at this time, right? Or maybe if I could have, if I should have known about this that I didn't know about, right? Or maybe I could have tuned that conversation a little bit differently, right? And so there's so many things in my life where if I could go back, I would, I don't, I would potentially look at them again. Of course, it's to me, it's like being uh, I'm Peyton Manning in the booth, right? Right. You go back and you go back and you rewind things and you say, oh, I should have made that turn differently.
Yeah.
I should have
Yeah.
threw that a little bit higher,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
you still may have won the game and everyone may be celebrating, but that doesn't mean you have the opportunity. That doesn't mean you get the option of, you get to negate the burden of leadership, right? Um, and it's good to be around other leaders who understand that and who can say, because we do this with each other as well. Listen, there's nothing you could have done.
Mm-hmm.
I can look at it from the outside looking in, and even objectively, there's probably nothing that you could have done differently. And so, but to answer your question, there's plenty of things that, so many things that I wish that I could have done differently. Not about me personally. I'm grateful for every decision every hardship, every pain that I've gone through personally. But in regards to other individuals, I wish that, I'm sure there are plenty of things with probably each one of my youth that, I could have provided something more for them, even if they're Harvard graduates and
Yeah.
perfect people. I would have been
Yeah.
like, well, if that makes sense, if that
Oh,
makes
no,
any
it does.
sense.
It does make sense. And you know
Yeah,
what? I'm a believer. If you go back and change anything from your past, whether it's your finest moment or your worst moment, you change anything, you're a different person. And you're not sitting here talking to me now.
yeah,
Everything adds up, and you can't take anything away without changing the end product. Now, the thing that we end up doing though is we end up carrying some guilts and some shames, and there's
of course,
we're supposed to make mistakes and we're supposed to have victories.
right.
The point is to learn from it and grow from it, and kind of build this stuff into the person you become. But a lot of us do carry guilts and shames, and that was kind of the point: is don't hold on to shit, man, and just if you
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
we've all made mistakes, and we've all got those moments.
It's funny that you bring that up because I have a person I'm really close to who's going through some hardships, and I'm helping them out
Mm-hmm.
throughout some of that process. And this is a person who is very intelligent, very